There's a brand new version of WordPress right around the corner. There's a bunch of new things. It's always good to know what's coming so that you can be prepared when this update's available for your site. So let's take a look at all of that in this video. And then the second part of the video, I'll talk about some experimental things that might be coming to WordPress soon. I'm really excited about those. And so let's take a look at that as well in this video. Let's go get started. Now, if you'd like to follow along, you can go in your web browser, open a new tab, and go to try.new, try.new. That's a free service by ZipWP. There's no registration. When you go to that URL, it's just going to make a brand new, fresh and clean WordPress site that you can use to test things, and it'll be good for an hour or so. And when you're done with it, just close the web browser and forget that you ever made it. I'm using that for this video. So go ahead and do that. And then you just need to add the beta version of WordPress to your site. And that's super easy. You simply go to plugins and then click on add new. And then over here, I just like to search for the word beta. And here it is. The second result says WordPress beta tester. You'll want to install and activate that. And then go to your list of plugins and you'll see it listed there. That's where I click on the settings. Now I'm in the settings for the beta plugin. I choose Bleeding Edge and then beta RC only. Then click on Save Changes. And then the last step is you'll go to Dashboard, you'll click on Updates, and then there'll be a button right there to update to that beta or release candidate version. Now, the first new thing is a new default theme, the 2025 theme. I typically never use these default themes, but it's interesting to see what they do in them. Now, these are block-based themes, and so the only real difference from the 2024 and the 2025 is the styles are different, the patterns and the layouts that it comes with are different. Let's take a look at those patterns right now, and the best way to do that is to go to Pages and click on Add New, and it has this modal that pops up that shows the various designs. Now, these are just the designs that are available right now that I can show that are available into it. And you can Now, these are just the designs that are available right now. It's very simple. When they pop up, you can click on one of them and it immediately gets added to your layout. So for example, here's a colorful one. There's little descriptions underneath it. So here's sort of the home page if it's a business website. So when you click on it, it adds the layout directly to your canvas. You can scroll around and take a look at it. So the main marquee feature that is inside this new version of WordPress is called Zoomed Out View. So there's this brand new button right here on the top right. And when you hover over it, it says Toggle Zoom Out. And when you click on it, it zooms everything out so you can get a more visual look at the entire page. I like this. You know what I like? I like the animation, right? So, I mean, it's just kind of fun clicking on it. I could tell whoever did the animation must have put a lot of effort in there to get it right. It sort of goes down and out and then in and then up. It's just perfection, if you ask me. And there's actual real things that you can do inside of this zoomed out view. So this page is made up of a series of sections. And when you click on any of these sections, there are some controls here that appear to give you some options of what you could do. So you can rearrange and reposition the section. You can edit it. You can delete it from this zoomed out view, which is really nice. But what also you could do is you can easily insert a new pattern inside of the canvas. By clicking on the plus, you'll see everything just beautifully, like smooth like butter, moves over to the side, and the pattern library appears here. So I can scroll down and choose a pattern. Let's say this one right here, it's colorful, and I'll drag and drop it right here where it says add pattern. And there you go. I've got a brand new pattern in the design that easy with this zoomed out view. And you can just as easily click on it and then click on the delete and then it's gone. But it's really nice how everything has been thoughtfully designed with the fluid motion. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I want the software I use to feel good using. Now there's one other thing you might not have noticed in everything that I was showing is there's now persistent panels. And this is the phrasing I'm using. I don't know if WordPress is using that phrasing, but before, when you would open up the block panel here, the pattern panel, and you would drag and drop something new into your canvas, this panel would disappear. And then what would end up happening is there would be all this shifting going on, but that's no longer the case. So if I want to drag and drop a heading in, I just dragged it, dropped it right here, and I can start editing it without the panel going away. So before, the minute you click, the panel went away, and now I'm having to try to find it. It was always one of the things that bothered me a lot. But you don't have that problem. And you also have the persistence when you're looking at the list view of your layout and all of the containers. So you can see I can click on something different here, and then I can click into it, and it's staying open as well. This is something that I have wanted for 2 years, and I've specifically asked the contacts that I have at WordPress.org for this. And so I'm happy to see that it's now made it, and I no longer have to chase these things around when I'm designing. It was always so frustrating. Now, another new thing is most of these core blocks, they all got new design options or expanded design options. These are mostly for borders and shadows, but they have been added to most of these core blocks, or a lot of the core foundational blocks you would use to build out a page design. There's also new expanded font options if you're using a block-based theme. So when I click into this heading right here, we have these options that say size small through XXL. You can set the properties of each of these styles. So when you're designing, you can easily choose one of these options, but now in the back end, you're able to configure what happens when one of those options are clicked. Let me show you how to do that. But first, let me save and get out of this page that I didn't add a title to. That's okay. So I'm going to go to Appearance and then click on Editor. Then I'm going to click where it says Styles right here. And I wish there was just like a real quick way to get to this, but you know, this is how it works. So now I'm in the Styles. I'm going to click, there's multiple ways to get here, by the way. I'm going to click right here on this little eye where it says Style Book. Then I'm going to click into the Style Book. So now I'm where all the styles are determined for my site. And there's this option here that says Typography. Now when I click on it and scroll all the way down, there's this option right here that says Font Size Presets. And when you click into it, you'll notice these same preset options that we just saw. So I can customize any of these to have the properties that I want, or I can also create a custom option in there. So let's go ahead and click into one of them. And you can see right here something else that's new, and that is the ability to set the fluid properties for this font size. And if you're not familiar with what that is, fluid typography makes mobile responsiveness so much easier, right? So as the web browser window gets more narrow, for example, on a mobile device, the size of that font will automatically, in a fluid fashion, start shrinking down automatically. So this new fluid typography is an option, and you could just set the maximum and the minimum size of this font, and everything else is pretty much automatic from that point on. You don't have to have these options. You can have it be automatically fluid or not fluid at all, but these are new, and these are really nice to have here as well. They've also made the query loop, the settings for that, simplified. So if you're not familiar with the query loop, I don't even like the term query loop, but I guess that's the correct term for it. I like the phrase loop builder much better. But it's a block that allows you to show the different types of content in a loop on your website. So you'd think of this as like a blog post grid, and you're showing all of the little snippets of each blog post. Someone clicks on it and goes into it. Now, that's called the query loop, and you could add these anywhere on your site, and the options for them have been simplified. To add the query loop, you could just open up the block panel, and it's probably easier to search for this one. So you could just type the word loop, And there it is, the query loop, and we can drag this anywhere we want on the screen. I'll just do this right here. There's some templates available for it, or you can start from scratch. So when you click on choose, you'll see here's the templates that are available. I'm not really fond of any of them personally, my own design tastes, but I like that they have these options here. So let me just go ahead and choose one of these. Like that, and you can see this is now going to show a loop of my blog posts, but this is what's been simplified over here on the right. These options here of choosing which type of content is going to be looped out, post page or some custom post type that you might have on your website. If you saw this before, the settings were probably a little overwhelming if you're new to WordPress and not even sure what a query loop is, a little bit on the overwhelming side. And you still have the power options. So for display, it's showing me posts per page, but if I click on the three dots, I can add an offset. I can have some different options. The same thing here for filters. If I want to add filters, I can just choose the filter that I want. So the power options are certainly still there, and I like that it makes it a bit more manageable. As you're using this new version, you're going to notice lots of polish to the interactions as you're using it. So you saw with the zoom in and zoom out, it had just a very nice polish to it. Now let me go into the site editor, and there was something that I noticed in here that I liked. So now when I move my cursor over to the WordPress logo on the top left there, there's this nice subtle polish animation there where I hover over it, and then I get the arrow that indicates that this is going to get me out of the part of the interface that I'm in. So I can click on it and then it takes me here. So there's like lots of little bits of polish that I've noticed in this version. And the other big thing that's in here really is the glimpse of what building a website in WordPress is going to be like in the future, and that's with the data views. So to see a data view, click on one of these data options. In this case, it's pages. And when I click on it, here's a list of the pages, including that page I didn't add a title to. And then you see a preview here. So this is the data views, but there's been options added to this. So let's just take a quick look. So the icon right here, when you click on it, I can choose how I want to see it. This is list, but there's also a grid view. There's options now for this. And there's, now there's a grid icon there when I click on it, and then I can do the table view. So you can choose the view that you like. I think I'm going to stick with this view right here. Now, when you click on the settings wheel to see the options, you get lots of options here. So you can decide what are the bits of information in these columns very easily. And there's also some hidden ones, so you don't have to see what you don't want to see. So for example, me, I don't really care to see the author unless I have multiple authors. So I can go over author, I can click on the I, and now it is gone. But say I liked the featured image, which this is a test. I don't have featured images on any of these. Or maybe I like the date. I can go like that, and now that I have the date. But then you can also rearrange these items. So if I want the date to be the last item, it looks like it's already the last item. I'd probably want the feature image to be the first item though. I can go like this, and I can move the featured image up. And so now the first thing in this list view is the featured image. This is very nice to have this flexibility all built in. There's also bulk actions. It's not that full featured yet, but bulk actions is when you choose more than one of the items. And there used to be an option up here to edit them all in bulk. You now have that as an option down here. But the options are really just to delete right now. You can't say categorize and things like that just yet. Or maybe you can. I'm looking at pages which aren't really in a category anyway. Well, no, typically you would use the bulk actions to change statuses in bulk, all kinds of things like that. But that's not an option yet. And also you have the grid view, and you have the options here as well in the grid view. So when you go here, you can have the way you want to see the data in the grid view as well. And this is what making a WordPress website is going to look like in a year or two. This will be the predominant interface. All the plugins that you use will have to adapt to this interface. It's much more polished. There's some things I don't like about it, but overall, it's a very nice experience. And now we're going to go over that experimental thing that I mentioned, experimental feature that I'm pretty excited about. And when this was announced just maybe like 3 weeks ago, I tested it out, but now I'm going to include it in this video. And some of the phrases that developers use, they totally disconnect with the user. So this is called create content model. Now, let me just tell you what this is to create custom post types and custom fields. But they call it create content model. I would love it if this was inside of WordPress natively because it's a content management system. And in it, I want to be able to create custom fields and custom post types, just have an official way of doing all of that. And that's ideally what this plugin can do. So you can, I'll put a link to this down below and you'll scroll down and click this button here that says download latest release. That'll download it to your computer and then you just need to load it up into the site. Let's go ahead and do that now. So I've already added it here. I just need to click on activate. And when you do that, it adds this new menu here that says content models. And it makes it very easy to create a custom post type, custom fields, and bind those custom fields to layouts and designs. It's very nice. So if I click on add a new content model, I can give it a name. So let's say we wanted a special bit of content area for all the team members. Say we got like a lot of team members and we want to have a profile page for them. And then we want to show them in a grid and we want to do all that kind of stuff. Well, you could do it really easy. So for the content model name, let's just call this team. There it is. And over on the right, we have some options here that are folded down. So right here is the singular label team, plural label teams. That's actually probably the wrong plural name. So, but we'll go maybe call it staff or something like that. It'd be probably different, or add a new team member. How about that? Instead of teams. Okay, that's fine. We'll just leave it the way that it is. So you can change the icon here to something different. And then you could start designing what it would look like when there is a team member item that's been created. So let me just throw together a real basic layout. So I put name, position, hobbies. You can throw in an image. You can throw in social media links to their different profiles. I'm keeping this basic. So for name, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to click this option here that says add binding. So this allows us to convert this into a custom field of sorts. So for here, for the binding name, I'm going to put team member name. And then I'll click on save field and there it is. You can see it's a beta, not even a beta, it's an alpha. They got to fix some of that view issues there. And then for position, I'm going to click on add binding. I'm going to do the same thing, team member position. I went ahead and did the last one for hobbies. And you can see down here, the meta fields have been created. There's this button here that says manage post meta. So I can create custom fields. And right here, I can see those bindings of custom fields to these placeholders in the design. You can see everything that I put together here. So, okay, this is all kind of like a little on the complicated side, but it should make sense here in a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on publish and publish. And now when I exit this, it takes me here, you can see here's my content model, but now you see a new menu item here called teams. So I can click on teams, click on add a new team. It should have been team member, remember. So I'll go ahead and fill this out. So now I've gone ahead and filled it out. I'll go ahead and click right here where it says publish, publish. And you can see here it is, the data that I put in there. Now, this is a template, so I can add and rearrange these things very easily by going into that content model. And it's so simple. So let me go back. I'll go to content model again. And let's just say I wanted to change the order of these things. I wanted position to be underneath the hobbies. And let's go ahead and click on save. And then I'm going to get out of here. Now let me go into the team And there's that team member I created. And now when I click on view, you see the hobbies and the order changed because it is a template and I can easily add custom fields, rearrange and redesign at any point. And I've also created this custom post type now called Teams. So with this, there's a lot of practical use cases for it. Say you're making a website for a real estate agency and they have listings. Well, you can now go in there and you would create a new content model called property listings. And then you would create the design of it as well as those bindings to custom fields. And so when the client goes to add a new property listing, it'd be very simple. They'll have a section there that says property listing. They'll click on it. They'll click on add new. The layout's there. You can't adjust it. You can't change it. It's kind of locked into place, which is what you want. And it's visual. They'll be doing it visually. So this is better than the way you do it now. The way you do it now is there's this ugly meta box that appears and you don't really have the perfect connection of what filling that out actually looks like on the front end. So you fly blind a little bit. And so that's a real practical use case of using this to make a directory of any sort that you want by adding some new content to your site and doing it this way. Anyways, that's my full explanation. In summary, this is WordPress 6.7. It's coming. What do you think or what of the features that I showed you do you think is going to be something you're going to enjoy using? Let me know down below. What do you think about this content modeling? They should make a better name for that. Let me know down below for that as well.